Rev up your engines! Subaru Foresters. Are they good SUVs? Subaru's had problems in the past, but the Forester, a lot of them are pretty well made. Now this is a 2014, and you can't complain at the price. The customer got it totally free. Unfortunately, it was because his father died of cancer and he inherited the car. But be that as it may, Subarus have always had head gaskets blowing on the engines and transmissions that go out. This is a 2014 four-cylinder boxer engine. They figured the head gasket sealants out long before 2014, so they don't have problems with that at all. And this one has a CVT transmission. Now, you know I'm not a big fan of CVT transmissions, but the big reason of that is Jatco, which is Nissan's subsidiary, that makes the worst CVT transmissions in the world. Strangely enough, Subaru has used Jatco automatic transmissions in their cars throughout history, and then later they used the Jatco design that Subaru built themselves, but it's still based on the Jatco design. But way back in 1989, they had a CVT which they designed and built themselves. The CVT in this is designed and built by Subaru, which of course is owned by Fuji Heavy Industries, a very large company with a lot of money and a whole bunch of engineers who know what they're doing. Now, like any CVT transmission, you want to service it. I'm going to change the filter today, show how it's done. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with these things. This one was built in Japan. They're excellent vehicles, priced when they're brand new. Of course, he got his for nothing. He can't complain at all. It's all free from here on for him. The only problem that really occurred to the car is that his father was sick for years, so he parked it a long time, and some rats or mice got in. You can see where they chewed stuff away there. And they messed up some of the wiring. So when he inherited, he put one of those ultrasonic devices that chases rats and mice away. Like I showed one of my old videos, you see those? They actually work. You get a good one. And if you wonder, does it really work? I've got ultrasonic headphones. If you get a pair of those with a little sending unit, turn it on. If you hear it going, wee wee with ultrasonic headphones, that's what the mice and rats hear. They don't like it, so they run away. You want to keep them out of the car. And if you do, you don't have to worry about anything. They're comfortable. You can see they got a lot of space, plenty of leg room. Certainly don't want to compare this to the Toyota 86 I did the other day. Leg room was my little finger between the back and the front seat. And being a Subaru, it's all-wheel drive. Subaru's been making all-wheel drives forever. They got it down pat. They really don't have problems if you maintain them. That's why you're changing the fluid on this one today. So jack it up in the air, get it nice and high, and stick the jack stand on so we don't get pancaked. And as we crawl under, pretty simple here. There's a drain plug. So we'll get our pan, and that's a 14 millimeter. And we'll break it loose. Now we can do the rest of the finger. There she goes. Then it stopped draining. We'll put that back on with a little torque wrench. Nice and tight. Now, of course, the evil swine left out a dipstick, so there's an add plug. In this case, you go on the driver's side, the left side, and it's right up here. As you can see, it's an 8 millimeter Allen hex that goes right on there, and that's where you pump the fluid back in. And we just push it. Ah, there it goes. Once it gets loose, it's simple to get rid of. Then you can do it with your finger, and that's the cam. So, since the evil swine don't give a dipstick, I don't know how much to put in. Well, his father's the original owner. The transmission's dry, so we know it was full. So we measured what came out and put the same amount back in. We get a nice little hand pump. We put the add end into the hole and pump in what we took out. Follow it up. There's the pump, and we just pump. It takes a while because there's quite a bit of stuff coming in, but you can see the stuff is pretty much clear, and the stuff that came out was pretty dirty. It just pumps it in. Then of course we get the socket, tighten it back up, and these do have a reusable gasket. It's made out of aluminum. You can use it over many times. It's not going to leak. Just make sure it's tight. And now I'm a little dirty and sweaty, but at least the transmission's fluid's changed. Don't listen to these people that say it's a lifetime fluid. It is not, especially in a CVT transmission. Personally, if I owned one, which I probably never will, but if I did, I'd probably swatch it out every 30,000 miles because you're only changing a percentage of it. But if you go every 60 or so, at least that's okay. Just make sure you use the right fluid, and if you do it yourself like I did, you measure what comes out, you put what goes back in. Understand, you can't even trust mechanics on this one. My old photographer in Houston, he had a Toyota Camry. I was out of town. He took his car to get the transmission fluid changed on a CVT, some crazy shop, and guess what? They didn't do it right, and about 5,000 miles later, his tranny went out and cost him $5,500 for a new one. You can't trust people these days. My daughter-in-law, Sienna, if you remember a video I made a while back, she got a new tire, then her car shook like mad, right? So I said, what tire is it? She says it's the right rear. So I took the right rear tire off, put it on my balancer, and it was going to the side. And I looked, and it had, I'm not kidding, about 36 weights on it, right? So I just got my chisel, I chiseled all 36 weights off, then I put the bare tire back on the balancer, and it was perfectly balanced by itself. It was completely off. And this is at a tire store, so this is why I make these videos. You want to learn how to do it yourself, do it right, and you won't have any problems. So now you learn a couple of things today. Why CVT transmissions in these Subaru Foresters are decent, because they're not made by Jacko, they're made by Subaru, that their head gaskets don't blow anymore on the 4 cylinders, but you also learn that it's not that hard to change CVT fluid. You can do it yourself, do it right, and not worry about a $5,000 transmission breaking down when you get 100-something thousand miles on it. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, now that it's 2025, you could say goodbye to the Chevy Malibu. It's gone bye-bye. Now, I really don't know about this decision from GM. It was their best-selling sedan. And it wasn't like they didn't sell any. Last year, they sold 130,000 of them. That's quite a bit, right? They're saying goodbye. They're not going to make them anymore. Looks like GM is just making bad decision after bad decision. Now, of course, they've all got hots for big trucks and big SUVs because it's a higher profit margin. Car manufacturers are not in the business of making cars. They're in the business of making money. What they make the most money on is big trucks, big SUVs. That's where their profit is, so that's what they built, right? A lot of people don't want these giant things, right? I mean, heck, if 130,000 people bought the Malibu, that's not a failure, right? But they decided, oh no, we're going in a different direction. Oh, Mary, she's got some decisions. GM's been going down for a while. When she took over, it really took a steep dive down, not understanding what to make, thinking everybody wants electric cars, when hardly anybody does. They have much worse selling models out there. But no, they're getting rid of the Malibu, so say goodbye to the Malibu. Well, Ford has now pulled one of their signature off-road vans, and they're not going to make it anymore. This is the Ford Transit Trail. Now, you've probably never seen one because they didn't sell that many of them. There's a Ford Transit, you know, the van for going around carrying stuff for businesses. Well, they made the Ford Transit Trail, which was an RV thing, right? It was a massive failure to begin with. For example, Ford doesn't even give her out the figures of how many Ford Transit Trails they sold. And I read one guy and he said it was either low or they didn't sell any at all in 2024. People who ordered them said, and I quote, "It took me 1.5 years to get mine after I ordered it." Well, if people are waiting that long, and they don't even get it, it's no surprise they're not making them anymore. Now, these things started at $65,000, so they weren't giving them away, right? But part of the problem here is RV sales are down like mad. Last year, RV sales are down 49.2%. People are not buying big gas hog RVs anymore. Every time I travel from Tennessee to Rhode Island and back, we travel by a bunch of these big RV places. They are packed to the gills from one end of the fenced property to the other with unsold RVs. Nobody wants them anymore. They can't afford the expensive gas. They're a pain in the butt to drive around. And if you ever buy one, you want to sell it. The resale values are insanely low. I've had customers buy RVs. They said, I couldn't resist. Says, hey, that was an $80,000 RV. I picked it up for 10. What the heck? You know? And I understand. If you can get them that cheap and you're not using it that much, why not use it for a vacation thing? Or maybe drive it out to you if you got land somewhere and use it for a little house when you go to land, if you go hunting or something, right? But Ford's discontinued their fancy trail version, their RV version, and they never gave any figures on the actual sales. They must have been so low, they were ashamed of it. Well, it's bad enough you buy a vehicle, like a Jeep, and you're worried because you're going to have problems. Well, how'd you like to be annoyed by your brand new Jeep? Jeeps now have pop-up ads that when you stop, they pop up on your screen. And the big one is an on-screen message that keeps telling the owner, buy the Flex Care plan for peace of mind. Turns out a bunch of Wrangler and Gladiator buyers have these new Jeeps, and when they come to a stop, they keep getting this ad popping up to tell them to buy the extended warranty plan. Now, Jeep Gladiators aren't cheap vehicles. A Jeep Gladiator Mojave starts at $63,000. Well, $5 less than that, but it's still $63,000, right? So you're paying all this money for a vehicle, yet you get an annoying ad every time you stop the car. Don't buy these products, complain on the internet about them. We should all fight these things, because if we don't, they will be everywhere. But if people say, I'm never going to buy that stupid car because it's got an ad trying to sell me stuff all the time, you know what? These car companies only have one way of making a profit, and that's selling you their vehicles. If you do not buy their vehicles because you don't like the crap they're putting in it, guess what? They will either go out of business or they'll stop putting that crap in. So I say we all get together and complain. Go on social media and say, oh man, I got this Jeep and all this crap is annoying me all the time. You know what? Even those idiots at Chrysler, eventually they'll figure out, you know, that really annoys our customers. Maybe we should stop doing it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.